Something I get asked about an awful lot is the difference between a chemical and physical sunscreen. So I'm going to talk you through that now. I think a lot of people don't understand why some of us, me included, are really kind of vocal and passionate about using a physical sunscreen instead of a chemical sunscreen. Absolutely, some dermatologists recommend specific brands of chemical sunscreen. I'm not a dermatologist, I'm a facial skincare therapist with a specialism in sort of skin science. So if your dermatologist has recommended you a chemical sunscreen, great, go ahead. But I get asked a lot what the difference is and what to look out for to know which one you're choosing. So this is going to be a really quick video to break it down for you. So chemical sunscreens, how they work is they're designed to either sit on the skin or penetrate into the epidermis, into the top layers of your skin. And what they do is they absorb the UV rays from the sun, convert it into heat, which is then released from the skin. And that's how they deal with the UV. So a single chemical often can't protect against UVA and UVB. I'm going to do a specific video on the difference between UVA and UVB later on. But often a chemical will be really good at protecting against UVA and less good at UVB, or vice versa. So quite often they will create a compound of chemicals to give you what we call broad spectrum coverage. So broad spectrum means it covers UVA and UVB. So a couple of things about chemical sunscreens. Yes, they will protect you from certain amounts of UV damage, but they have been shown to cause more free radical damage. Free radical damage happens throughout the body from just being alive, basically. And again, I can do a separate video on that. Don't want to get bogged down in the science of it now, but free radical damage is something you really want to avoid, and is something that we aim to avoid through a lot of skincare usage. So they can also cause hyperpigmentation. So if you have melasma, chloasma after having a baby, for example, or hormonal hyperpigmentation issues or lots of sun damage, you may want to rethink using a chemical sunscreen, as sometimes they can actually make it worse rather than making it better. They're more likely to cause sensitivity and prickly heat. So if you have a child who gets prickly heat in hot weather in the sun, it could be that because the way the chemicals convert UV to heat and release it from the body, that's creating extra heat. I, for one, used to get terrible prickly heat as a child, so switching to a physical sunscreen can help with that. It's really harmful to sea life and coral, to the extent that some chemicals used in chemical sunscreen are actually banned in some countries because of the coral damage. And they have been linked to lots of issues, hormonal issues, cancer issues. In terms of the understanding of skin and skincare, sunscreen is very much in the early stages of scientific discovery, so we're learning more and they're doing more tests all the time. A few to look out for. Avobenzone is by itself relatively safe UVA protection, so UVA penetrates deepest into the skin, but after about 30 minutes of sun exposure it breaks down really quickly, so you're then no longer protected from UVA, and the damage you get caused by UVA you don't see at the time. It's what causes wrinkles, deep problems in the skin, so you'll only see that 10-20 years later. I find the long words really hard to say. Oxtinoxate or OMC, so this filters UVB, and it's quite often what's added to your skincare and makeup. If your foundation, for example, says it's got an SPF of 15, it might be that OMC is what's in it. Several studies have shown that it is harmful to animals and the environment. It can cause dermatitis. In some studies it's shown to cause low sperm count, and it's absorbed incredibly quickly into the bloodstream. So not only is it, you kind of want it to be doing its thing on your skin, but it gets absorbed incredibly quickly into your sunscreen, into your bloodstream. We've got oxybenzone, really bad for coral reefs in lots of ways, and this one's actually banned in Hawaii. It causes skin allergies, is a hormone disruptor. It can lower testosterone levels in adolescent boys, but also once you start talking about testosterone levels, that can affect everyone. That can affect women, men. Oily skin very much depends on testosterone. Some studies have shown that it can be linked to reproductive disorders such as in endometriosis. Then we have homosalate, which is, again, an endocrine disruptor. So it messes with your hormones. It increases absorption of pollution and pesticides that we absorb through our skin. So just by being a human and being out and about, I live in London, you may live in a rural setting, but whatever happens, pollution is going to sit on your skin. And this has been proven to actually increase the absorption of those chemicals into your bloodstream. So those are 4 chemicals to look out for. I'll put them in the comments because I know that they're technical words and I'm very bad at pronouncing them. So physical sunscreen. Why do I love physical sunscreen? Well, physical sunscreen is designed to sit on top of your skin like a shield. So if you know what physical sunscreen is, a lot of people picture the Australian cricketers in the 90s with their stripes all over their face. The Australians know a bit about the sun, and that is a physical sunscreen that they're using. So it does act like a physical shield. It's coral and marine safe. Great, it's fine to put in the waters. And actually, the 2 things to look for is either zinc oxide or titanium oxide. They are the 2 main physical sunscreens, and we actually have zinc in our body, so you know it is already a more natural thing for us to be putting on our skin. Anyone who's got kids or who remembers nappy cream, zinc is often in nappy cream to help restore and repair the skin. So for me, I found that once I started using the right physical sunscreen, my hormonal breakouts around my mouth completely cleared up and disappeared. They're often formulated really well with niacinamide. They work well with other actives. They're fantastic for anyone with sensitive skin, anyone with rosacea, and for kids. I use only physical sunscreen on my kids. So what I get questioned on a lot is people will see that a physical sunscreen quite often will have an SPF of 30. So SPF refers to UVB protection because we didn't know about UVA when we came up with the SPF system. But now it sort of means everything. But I always feel like it's a bit of a sneaky loophole because it doesn't really tell you about the UVA protection. But physical sunscreens will protect against UVA and UVB equally. So you don't have to worry that secretly you're getting some UVA damage that you're not going to see until 10 years' time when your wrinkles are really bad. So yes, quite often people will say, well, you know, the chemical sunscreen I've got is SPF 50. The physical one you're showing me is an SPF 30. There's not 20 points difference between them. It's actually the difference of 1%. So when you're wearing an SPF of 30, about 3% of UV will penetrate your skin. When you've got an SPF 50, it's about 2%. So for me, I would rather have the 2%, have the 3%. So for me, I'd rather have a physical SPF of 30 than a chemical SPF of 50. I'll take the 1% difference for what it means for what's going into my body and into my system, and yeah, generally my overall health. Any questions, please leave me a comment or feel free to email me, and I hope that's helped a little bit.